What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to give you guys a very quick update about Tesla. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So Tesla dipped all the way down towards the 430 area. I said we had to hold above 440 to be bullish. If we couldn't hold 440, I said expect 435. If that failed us, our next target would have been 430. So keep that in mind. We did test that. I could see Tesla try to bounce a little bit for 435, but then I do expect some shop like this. And we have to get back above 440 to turn bullish. If we can't do that, there's going to be a risk of us returning to fill this gap back down towards 425. So be very careful on Tesla moving forward. Now we have Jerome Powell giving a speech at 12:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we'll see what that leads to. As you guys know, Jerome Powell is known for causing volatility for markets, so we'll see if he says anything significant. Bowman from the Fed has come out and she is saying that policymakers are at risk of falling behind the curve and they need to cut rates as soon as possible. So that's her view, which is very different from Bostic from the Fed, who mentioned that he thinks that the Fed may not be able to cut as much because of higher inflation. So we'll see what Jerome Powell has to say. Obviously, he does seem to agree a little bit more with Bowman, at least as of the last FOMC, and there hasn't been any really terrible data to change that. So we'll see if Jerome Powell's view changes. Besides that, we got our PMI and manufacturing numbers. The PMI data was close to expectations. Manufacturing was showing a little bit of weakness, which is part of why the market dipped. But other than that, we're now just waiting for Jerome Powell at 12:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's been some news that came out about how Tesla has a potentially more affordable Model Y that could be coming out. There is some reports coming out about some details about how it might have simplified fiberglass headliners, very different lighting controls and such. And it's going to be costing likely under $35,000 according to the reports. So apparently a hacker has leaked the details, but we don't know for sure if this is confirmed by Tesla. But this is what a lot of mainstream sources right now are talking about. How this, once again, more affordable Model Y is going to have less features than before, such as no heater for the backup camera, no airwave for the central console, and the list goes on, right? So, of course, if there's going to be a more affordable Tesla Model Y, it might have more simplified features and maybe less features than your typical Model Y, which is, what you would be expecting. But is it going to be costing under $35,000? If it does, I think that could still be very big for Tesla, especially in China. We'll see what happens though, at least for Tesla moving forward. So be very patient. Besides that, I'm not really seeing much else on the news. We could be looking for a bounce for 435. And we'll see if we launch higher or not, depending on Jerome Powell's speech. Jerome Powell is going to be speaking at 12:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but Tesla could bounce a little bit to like 435. Then we'll see if we end up turning back down later on to fill this gap down here. So we'll see how Tesla does. Look for a temporary bounce though. In terms of SPY, we're showing some weakness right now. We're going to be approaching 665 as our support. We started off with a pump back up to 667.5. We were holding up nicely. Then as time went on, we saw SPY just dip back down. So watch the 665 area. If we hold this, we could try to bounce. If not, there's going to be a risk of 662, so be very careful. It also depends on Jerome Powell's speech, but there could be some downside for now. On the QQQ, we're approaching this lower trend line acting as support near 600. We need to hold this and bounce back up to 602 to rebound. If not, we could be dipping all the way down to 598. So watch 600. We should be testing that. We'll see if we bounce or not. On the IW, we're making lower highs here. We could be dipping back down towards that 245 area. We'll see if buyers defend. On ES, we're looking for essentially 67.43. We have to hold this. If not, we're looking for 67.30. So be very careful. There is some downside risk. Even the NQ and the QQQ have similar setups. This might be retesting 24,900 flats, and we'll see if we bounce. Bitcoin has resistance at 113,000, support down here at 112,000. So we could be dipping back down towards 112,500. Nvidia is making lower highs unless we get back above 181. We're going to be favoring 178, so be very careful with Nvidia. Apple's flat is holding 155 well. As long as that holds, we could bounce for 157. So we'll see how that goes. Just a couple more for those interested in Palantir. We saw this nice pump in the morning, all the way up to 185. Then we rejected. This is like a liquidity grab, so we might retest 180 flats, and we'll see if we bounce or not off that area. So be very careful with Palantir. For others out there, we also have AMD. AMD is pushing right now. We could be looking for essentially 162.5. Coinbase is once again showing some weakness unless we get back above 332. We're going to be favoring 328. Amazon's showing weakness. It might be dipping towards the low 220s. We got some negative news. So for now, it's dipping, and we could be looking for 222 very, very soon, and then eventually back down to 220. Meta needs to hold above 767. If we don't, we could be dipping back down towards 765. So be careful with that. Google's favoring 253, and we'll see if we bounce. Microsoft has resistance at this 511 area. 511.77 could be retested, and we'll see if it rejects. And the VIX is starting to push right now. So as long as it does not lose 16.08, it might continue to uptrend as the market is starting to show some weakness. But of course, it also depends on Mr. Jerome Powell and his speech. So you don't know for sure if we're going to truly continue to fall. Although charts are showing some weakness, we will see if we get some kind of bounce or not, depending on what the big guy says. So be patient, guys. Do what you have to do. And I thank you all so much for listening. I'll be back with another video very soon. Until then, I wish you all nothing but the best. And just know that Tesla could bounce for 435, see a small push, but then we might reject again if we can't hold above 440. So there is some weakness on Tesla stock, even if we bounce a little bit. And then we'll see what the big guy Jerome Powell has to say. Get ready for his speech at 12:35, and peace out.